properties. Paid search opens up for you a whole plethora of websites that are available to you to promote your products and services through, called the Google Display Network. Thousands of websites that participate in this network where you can propagate your ads, image ads, text ads, video. Very robust, very interactive, and far reach. And the ROI can be measured almost down to the dollar. If you had a customer relationship management system, such as a Salesforce.com, where you're tracking your leads. We did integration for the folks out in California, ad hoc, where now when someone searches on a specific term for their company, it'll tell us what the search engine was that they used, it'll tell us the term, it'll tell us what form they used on the ad hoc website to submit the lead, and then it goes into the pipeline and we can track it to close. So from inception to close, we can track a lead. Organic search, paid search, web direct, meaning someone opened up a browser, knew the company already, went direct to their website, or a referral from one of their partners, or some other site where their listing existed. We had a question in the back first. I'm going to get to you.
You mentioned it takes about 3 to 6 months for you to get on the top 3 of Google.
Yeah.
Is there a quicker way? Or it has to take 3 to 6 months?
I made an absolute statement there, and I will stick to it. Typically, that's the lead time. That's what the expectation we like to set is. And if it happens quicker, that's great. There are always going to be those instances where it might happen quicker. Typically, that's the lead time we've seen. Typically, that's what we've seen. In the interim, you can use paid search to get you that visibility. And I, for one, I don't know that I trust the paid search that comes across the top or down the side. Just an example, guys. When you look at a web page and you're looking at, at Google search results, you have the organic search results here, and across the top, you have the paid search results in a little bit of an off-color background. And on the side, that's direct. Those are ads that you've created and you're propagating directly through Google. My eye isn't drawn to them, typically. My eye is more drawn to the organic results. And I'm going to lean towards organic results because if Google has recognized my business or, my ability to fulfill the expectation of the person performing the query on that specific term to rank me number 3, then I'm going to trust that more than I am the person who's paying to be in that spot. So I think the value in paid search is more along the lines of the display network that I mentioned than it is there. But still.